And so here we are at the grand review of the Mugig MUK2. Right, this is a laminate instrument, laminate mahogany as a veneer. It's concert scale, 18 frets. One of the more notable things about it are these appointments of the cutaway to access the higher frets here, 14 and beyond, and this chamfered, rather nicely chamfered edge inlaid, both inlaid with dark wood, and they're done quite nicely, quite smoothly there. This is for comfort, and it really is effective, right? And these, you can access these frets well as a result of this cutaway. This is a Mugig, is a Chinese brand. I'm hearing different things. I'm hearing that they're only available on Amazon, but I've read that somebody had seen them in a shop, and there's been some price variances as well. On Amazon, I looked it up. I think it was £44. I've heard you could get them a little bit cheaper than that, and one that was in a shop had a good after setup. So coming out from the factory, they often require a bit of finishing off, a few finishing touches, a bit of a setup. So this one in the shop had a bit of a setup. So that's the kind of price for it, which on the face of it isn't so bad with these appointments, which you normally see on more high-end, more expensive instruments. So that's the body. You've got a bit of an arch there, and the expansion as we get down towards the belly end there. The bridge has pins, quite typical of an acoustic guitar, and a compensated bone saddle there. Going on to the neck, this is a 3-piece neck. There's a join there at the heel, going up through it, and there's a join up there in the headstock. I think this is a rosewood fretboard. It's not edge bound, but the frets they're quite smooth, to be honest. I can feel something just slightly there, but not what that I'd call sharp, and not something that would affect in playing. Going up to the headstock itself, you've got the Mugig laser etched logo up there, and an extra definition in the crown there. Tuning pegs, closed geared, and they have the Mugig sort of logo on there that's on the surface. It gives them a bit of, I suppose that makes them appear branded and a bit more better quality. They're small buttons. They're consistent in how they feel between each one with tuning it, and they seem to hold their tuning, so they're functional. You know, not hugely expensive ones. Ukulele Neilgut strings on here. As you have a tag here, which is super Neilgut strings. Yeah, quite commonly seen on ukes. This one currently belongs to a friend of mine, and I can sort of get it for £55. So I don't actually own it. Going inside, you've got notched curving side, and a bit of glue visible there, you know, if you're being very picky there, and laminate's not overly thick, but you know, it could be a tiny bit thinner, to be honest. I'm just tapping it there to hear the resonance of it. You know, I mean, it's more of a, on the budget end, so you know, you're not going to expect a real high level there, as you would perhaps from a solid wood instrument that's purely made of wood and not a laminate construction like this. But you've got some nice touches of the dark wood binding going around here, and the paraloid inlays. Gripes. The big one is really the sound, which I'll come back to in a moment. There's a couple of things here. The nut has slight sort of protuberance, or it's just sticking out a little bit at the edges here. I think it's a 36mm nut, by the way. But in certain chords that you're doing, or in chord work where your hand is straying into this area, you can actually feel that nut sometimes. You know, it's playable. I played it solidly for 2 hours last night in the group, and you know, I got on with it okay, but I can feel that there, and you know, that's something that would kind of annoy me a little bit. The action, not too bad. The setup on this particular one isn't too bad. You know, obviously there's a certain amount of preference with action, but this I find this accessible. The other gripe really was we've got the inlays markers there at 5, 7, 10 and 2 at the 12th and 1 at the 14th. Great. We don't have them repeated up here in the player's line of sight. Our ukulele players put markers in there because, like, you know, as an analogy, you're driving a car, you've got your instrument panel, your dashboard facing you, the driver, because that information is for you. You don't have it on the outside of the car for other people to see. You know, it's like the audience don't need to see like where your hands are going to go, and that's for the player. So it's more important to have them ideally in the player's line of sight. Okay, you know, you can lean over a little bit and have a peek, or you can just be super ace and not even need markers. But you know, if you just put them there, you know, all of you that make ukuleles, put them up there as well, right? If you can, I expect to see that from you guys, all right? So that's just, you know, being a bit nitpicky, but it's something that you could sort out. It's not a bad build, you know, the finish, you know, it's not absolutely perfect, but it's pretty good. You know, it's these are on Amazon for £44, I think. I think anybody who's kind of sensible really goes to a store and plays an instrument before they buy it, right? But I suppose a sort of lower budget one that you read good reviews about it, you know, you can, it's understandable that you'd go out and buy this, and for 45 quid, you know, it's alright, it's pretty good. I mean, it looks really attractive, doesn't it? And it is comfortable for the right arm. You know, occasionally you can feel a little bit, but the sound, folks, now to be fair, I'm recording this on an iPad. You're going to be getting a compressed version of the sound. You're going to be hearing it on a device that is not going to have the best speakers, most likely. So I haven't got fancy recording, well, I haven't linked up fancy recording gear for this. So when I go to play it, what my gripes aren't going to be really apparent, I don't think. So I'll just play it a little bit, okay? I'm hearing is something that is, I mean, there's not a great deal of sustain there, there's not a great deal of volume, but there's a dullness there, a sort of muddiness there, a lack of brightness or definition between each of the strings when they're being strummed like that. You know, if they're being strummed. if you're doing you know, augmented chords, you know, hammering on, pulling off, you know, this kind of stuff I was doing back there. Yeah, of course you can hear it. I recorded this earlier on with my other uke, this one here, to try to get the comparison across. It's got exactly the same strings on it. Okay, it's a tenor scale, got exactly the same strings on it. This to me sounds much brighter and more defined, but when I did a comparison recording it with the same method I've got here, it I have to admit this one actually sounded better on the recordings. This one, my other uke, which in reality, straight to the human ear, sounds much more clearly defined and a nicer balance of sound, but it sounded a little bit brittle coming through here. So this actually sounds better than the one that in reality really sounds better to me, to my ears. There's a boxy dullness happening there, folks, you know, a lack of resonance, and you know, these are, what have we got here, super nil gut strings. They're the same, you know, you see them on so many ukes. They're on that uke down there. Yeah, I mean, you know, 45 quid, you know, if you like this thing, if you can get hold of one and have a go on it, and you're comfortable and you like it, buy it, you know. Yeah, when you're finger picking it, you know, I prefer it being finger picked. You know, you're strumming away like. Sort of a lack of cut through, a lack of sort of sustain and brightness is going on. You know, I'm being critical. I'm saying that about it. I'm saying there's no dots going on up here. There's a bit of a sharpness to the nut, bit of glue around inside there. You know, yeah, I'm being critical about it. But the actual, aside from that, the build is pretty good. And these are nicely done, these appointments here. You know, whether you're accessing up here, whether you need that as much. I think this is worth having though. I'd like to see this on more ukes. This is comfy for the old forearm, you know. But on the fact, you know, so it's nice to see there. This is, you know, these kind of things you see, you know, like the spec on here is quite nice for the price, but you know, I'm just thinking. You know, I'm liking it more and more, you know. I don't know whether I'll buy it. I'm borrowing it on loan at the moment. I don't need it. I want lots of things I don't need, as some of you guys, most of you guys probably do as well. I want a pineapple shaped uke, and so I might put my money there. But if I wasn't, you know, maybe if this was like 10 or 15 quid less, you know, I'd just snap it up. But you know, in itself, I've actually played it in a group for a few hours last night, held up pretty well, but you know, I've got this one at the moment, and, which I reviewed before, and it sounds awful on going through this recording method on YouTube. This one, it actually does sound quite nice, really. Somehow the sort of dullness comes across a bit better on this recording system. But there you have it. You know, you're not paying hundreds of pounds. You know, this is it. This is the Mugig MUK2 concert scale laminate mahogany ukulele. It's available on, well, currently not available, but if you look up on Amazon, but it might be next week, you know. But talking of putting things, just a word about putting, you know, buying things online. You know, really, you ought to be playing your instrument before buying it. We've all bought things on instruments online. Of course we have. You know, you know, but we shouldn't really, should we? Really, we ask ourselves, should we? But anyway, take care of yourselves and your little ones.